We're not getting anywhere. Elaine, get the cell phone, get the phone number. Okay. After trouble. Oh, God. Let's move this away. Okay, here we are. All right, Elaine, you get out of the picture,
there you are.
please.
And there we are.
Finally.
So, hey, welcome to live TV, right? Live streaming.
Oh, this is like the pioneers of yesterday.
Hey, well, I live this all the time, so I'm that millennial trapped in a baby boomer body, Ed. So remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. Hey, I appreciate you being here, and thanks for working through your glitches, and thanks for everyone who's online and being so patient while we work through this. Certainly, there's a lot of technology that's involved these days, and we're sort of catching up. So I want to welcome Ed Gordon. You can hear me, Ed? You all right?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. Ed, I don't know how long ago we crossed paths. It probably had to do with my perfect labor storm, which was 20 years ago. 1999
That's right.
was the first time I came out with that. And since then, you've got a total of 21 books that you've written on the subject. I'm working, well, I just released my 6th, and one of them was just a rewrite of the same book. So you've been, I don't know how many books you had out at the time, but you've got quite a few. But you've been studying this kind of job market, the labor market, really. What
Right.
labor was going to look like now. I mean, for 20 years ago, you were talking about what it was going to probably look like now. Obviously, with the COVID crisis, I've been having a lot of conversations about this, and we didn't hit pause. I mean, people think that this is going to take us back. We're going to go back to normal. That we sort of hit pause, and we're going to do a rewind. The reality is we're sort of living on fast forward. You predicted a lot of these things already. The events of the last month, the digitalization, everybody, not that everybody was going to work from home, but how technology was going to, what the role of technology was and how it was going to affect jobs and what low paying and the demand for low paying, low skilled jobs was going to be. So I want to throw this up because I think this is a great place to start. Again, a little bit of background noise on your side, I think, Ed. I don't know. So,
does that help any?
Yeah, that's actually much better. So it sounded like somebody was moving around. So
right.
So I pulled these statistics. I've been quoting these for years from you. This is something that resonated for me. And what I'd like to know, and this will be a good jumping off point of how true these still are under the circumstances. And if I can find the right one here, there it is. So you said, I can't remember which book this was, Winning the Global Talent Shortage, I think, or Showdown.
Okay.
And you said that low-paying, low-skilled jobs will shrink to 26% of the total U.S. jobs. The bigger issue with that was that 40 million people, we only need 44 million people to fill those jobs, but 150 million people would be applying for them. Right. That has stuck with me. I don't know how many times I've quoted that. I have that even quoted in Recruiting in the Age of Globalization. That was so telling. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Are those still real? Are they worse? What's going to happen after we sort of get back to, I won't say we're going back to normal, but when we reopen for business?
Well, right now I'm in the process of writing a new white paper, which may turn into a book on we're going to be at by 2030. And the the data worldwide in the US and globally is that the number of low skill jobs, and when I mean low skill now, I'm going to qualify that. I mean jobs that require reading comprehension below the 12th grade level, or maybe even below the 8th grade level. Those number of jobs, due to the fourth industrial revolution that we're already in, continue to shrink. So if you take the U.S. Department of Labor's current projections, what you see is fewer and fewer jobs like dishwasher, cashier, and other jobs of that nature continue to be eliminated because of computers being able to take those jobs over. So I stand behind what I said before. In fact, those numbers now, the number of low-skill jobs, and there's still a lot of low-skill jobs out there. I'm not saying there aren't any. It's just that they are continuing to decline. And more importantly, what we need to recognize is before the pandemic hit, we had over 10 million vacant jobs in the U.S. that required two things: the ability to read numbers or letters at a 12th grade level or better, and some form of certificate or degree beyond high school in order to basically qualify for a job. So we had 10 million vacant jobs. Now, these jobs range from plumber, someone bending metal, building Boeing airplanes, brain surgeon, teacher, a wide variety of jobs.
Even salespeople.
Even salespeople.
Because sales has gotten much more complicated as a salesperson, because that transactional type of sales is now automated. I mean, it's Amazon. I don't need somebody
and
to
also,
tell me with that.
And companies have eliminated many layers of supervision and managers and expect the individual employee now to be able to, there we are, solve problems and complete the sale on their own.
Right.
And the fact is, we have about a third of the current adult workforce has those prerequisites. All right. And again, these are the traditional trade jobs, which now are far more complex than before. Many service jobs, like an auto technician. When you take your car in to be fixed to a dealer, when he's reading the schematics and charts and trying to figure out why your computer isn't working, he needs about a 16th grade level of reading comprehension. Now, this doesn't mean that he's going to write a book or be a college professor or he's an intellectual. What it does mean is he has the proper education fit now to use the technology and apply it to the job. That's what we're facing now. So this artificial barrier between professionals who need a college education and service jobs or skilled labor jobs, they don't need a very good education. It's gone forever, worldwide. All right? And people culturally, they just don't get that idea. They still say, well, look, why can't a guy graduate from high school, get a job in a factory with a high school education or less, and still earn a middle-class living to support a family of 4 people? Well, those jobs started disappearing in the 1970s. And you know who you have to blame for all this, Ira? It's Bill Gates. He took that damn PC and spread it all over Kingdom Come to every business sector. So that is what has been ramping up on this for a long, long time. In fact, the first book I wrote about this was 1991. It was called Closing the Literacy Gap in American Business. Then I wrote another book called Skill Wars, Winning the Battle for Productivity and Profit. Then the issue was, well, you needed skilled labor. Now we're up to talent. I don't mean people that are going to perform on a stage and sing a song. I mean individuals who are well educated. And the issue we have now is we have a largely undereducated workforce for the fourth industrial revolution. In 1970, the United States had the best educated workforce in the world. And now technology has raced ahead, and our ability to educate and train and skill has fallen further and further behind. So we still only have, when I came out of high school, about a third of adults read in jobs at that above 12th grade level, and about a third of the seniors coming out of high school had those types of reading. When I mean reading comprehension, it could be numbers or letters. I don't really care. I know many engineers who have PhDs. They're brilliant. They hate to read. Numbers they love. Letters they're not real interested in, all right? So there are many different forms of literacy or education. But now I use this word educated or undereducated, all right? It's not a question that people are illiterate. They're not illiterate. Mm-hmm. It's a question of whether they have gotten to a certain level of comprehension of what they're reading so that in the end, they can apply it in many different ways, solve problems, innovate, etc. So that they can hold a conversation like this with you without having to have a script. I don't have my script right here in front of me, and I'm reading all this to you because I can't hold this here in my brain. All right. And how can I do that? Well, let's see. I developed a long-term memory a long time ago. How did I do that? Well, it was pretty painful. It took me 12 years of basic learning, and then I went to school and got some more. And, then I kept trying to do it, and I made a lot of mistakes till I got it right. And then finally I wrote a book. And of course, some people say I keep writing the same book over and over and over again until I get it better. All right. And now I'm trying to write something for parents and small business owners so that they understand that the most important thing for their child is not to be on the football team, the basketball team, the baseball team, the hockey team, and be a star. It's actually to come out of high school reading at around the 12th grade level and then go into a career area where they have an interest and aptitude, whether it's a carpenter. My dad was a carpenter. He loved it. He was great at it for 50 years. Or they want to be an auto mechanic. They want to be a brain surgeon. They want to go out and sell insurance. Whatever it is that grabs them. But they're going to need more education, not to become an intellectual. I try to hide my pointy head all the time now so people can't see. But when I'm trying to give this message clearly now to business leaders, small business owners, and parents, the workforce board people get it. You get it, Ira. You're in HR. You see it all the time. This is a cultural issue. We know how to educate people. We just aren't supporting it as we should. First in the home, then in the classroom, and then finally in the office. When all those people come back to work who have been laid off, the longer they're laid off, the more training, they're going to need more training to help them once again do their job because some of their skills are going to be out of date already. Only 40% of U.S. businesses today train. 60% say we can't afford it. What I'm trying to, in my own clumsy way, say is that companies can't afford not to train. Or if they're small, to join with consortiums in their local communities of similar businesses and work together to come up with a better skilled and trained workforce because things continue to change.
So Ed, there's a lot you said there I want to unpack. And before I forget some of these questions. So one is going back to literacy that you talked about. I mean, we're talking about it's not reading, writing, arithmetic. Those are the basics, but we also have digital literacy. So
Yes.
I wish I was trying to remember. I don't want to be so rude as do research while you're talking and I'm here. But there was a report that was out maybe about 2 months ago, and it was about literacy in it was primarily U.S. And I don't remember the exact percentages, but they were both like one was 36%, one was 38% of current manufacturing workers and current healthcare workers in those two industries. That more than 1/3 of the current workforce is digitally illiterate and marginally functionally literate for a lot of those jobs. So now, again, a lot of those are personal care, personal aides, line workers in some machine shops. Those are the jobs that we're talking about are going away. And the only reason they haven't is because the cost of labor is so low, is that it doesn't pay those companies to automate. But eventually it will. I mean, basically, if you can pay somebody $10 an hour, then I don't need to automate it. But as soon as those wages go up, those jobs will be automated, or just to compete, just from a productivity level. But you said something else. I was just kind of confirming what you were saying there. But you said something else that I'm going to challenge you on a bit. You said that we know how to educate people for the future. Do we really?
Yes.
I mean, isn't that part of the challenge with that kids are coming out of colleges? I mean, they're coming out with enormous debt, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years of postgraduate education, and yet they don't have the skills that we need in the workplace. So do we really know how to educate?
Well, let's take this apart one piece at a time. Let's talk about college debt. 68% of high school seniors go to some post-secondary educational program, community college, four-year college, certificate, apprenticeship. 6 years later, only about 33% of those students have a degree or certificate. The rest have nothing. So when we look at the college debt problem, what we're really talking about is the debt of the individuals who dropped out because they're so poorly skilled. You have in community colleges and four-year colleges today huge remediation programs. And we're talking now about private institutions, not just state institutions or community colleges, where you have 30, 40, in some cases, over 90% of the students are in remedial reading, remedial writing, or remedial math. So they want to become a nurse, and they go to a community college, and they say, I want to be a nurse. And they say, well, now, did you take biology in high school? Well, no. Did you take chemistry? Well, no. Did you take algebra? Well, no. I want to be a nurse. I don't need all that stuff. Yes, you do. You don't want to give the wrong dose to the wrong person in the right strength, or the wrong strength, and kill somebody. Or take the tube and put it down the wrong part of the person's anatomy because you can't quite recognize what part of the anatomy you're working on.
But isn't that so kids are getting up to that point, but so isn't there, so doesn't education need to change? Do we, maybe intellectually we know what needs to be done, but functionally, are we really doing it?
Okay, now let's go way back to the other end of the spectrum. Because you're right, we're not doing it. If by the fourth grade, a child is not reading at the fourth grade level of reading comprehension, that child will never, probably ever catch up. Now you're going to say, well, Ed, a lot of kids aren't that bright. Okay, 66% of all children in the United States, if you take 100 kids at random, 66% have an average IQ. Another 13% are above average, and 2% are genius. So add up all those numbers, and we say, well, only 33%, Ed, by the time they get to 12th grade, have the ability to read at the 12th grade level. You know what I say? Horse feathers. What I do say is that in other countries, when a child in first, second, third grade or below in reading, they have ability in the school with a special teacher to tutor that child so that no child ever goes below grade level, ever, all the way through. Now, why don't we do that? Well, that's a good question. Part of it, of course, is how important is reading and learning in the home? If a child doesn't see a parent reading, are they going to read? Probably not. A lot of parents don't want their children to have homework. Well, why do they have homework? Well, they have homework because they need to overlearn something. Do you play golf, Ira?
I used to.
Okay.
Yep.
The more you practice, you at least get to a point where you're tolerable so you don't look like a fool in front of your buddies when you tee off.
Right.
Well, children have the same need. Mm-hmm. The brain is a wonderful computer, but it needs to be educated and trained.
Right.
So how many parents every day make sure their children's homework is done? How many parents help their child by having them read to them, or they read to the child?
Right.
How high a priority is education in the home of most families? Well, in a third, they get it.
So Ed,
and it is important. But what I'm saying to you, this is a cultural problem.
Right.
Sports, television, video games, these are culturally far more important for a lot of people than making sure that their child does a better job in school.
Okay.
All right.
So does this crisis, has this shifted some of this? Do you think that now is the time? I mean, now everybody, not everybody in the country, but almost the majority of students are now distance learning, which we were told that couldn't happen. The fact that there's so, the Khan University is just part of that. But will this now create that opportunity, especially for a lot of these, the not only lower income, but that opportunity to be learning not just within that 8 to 3 window on a 9 months a year with a lot of other activities? Can education now move to a 365? Because rather than maybe going to a classroom for 6 hours, kids can go online for an hour a day or 2 hours a day and get a more interactive experience and learn how to do this rather than being told, read the book, come back and do a report. Can there be more interactivity online?
Ira, I have been in the psychology of learning now for many years.
I know, that's why I'm asking you the question.
I know, and but before I answer it, I just want to explain to the listeners here. A lot of
we're losing you a little bit, Ed.
Oh.
There you are. Okay.
All right. The answer is it has a social component.
I think we lost Ed for a little bit.
I lost it all again.
Okay. No, it seems you're back. You're moving around.
Oop. Up. Can you?
Yeah, you keep going in and out, Ed. So while Ed's doing that, I'm going to put up a picture of Ed's book, one of Ed's books here, where you can see that. Hopefully we can get Ed back in a second there. There it is. So there's a copy of Ed's book. There you are. You back? Oh, you come back and you go, Ed. So a couple other things here. While Ed's trying to get back online, just want to make sure that everybody knows we've got. There we go. if you want to get on the list, we have our podcast tomorrow. I'm talking with the CEO of Symphony Talent. And on Friday, I'm talking with Ed Segal, who's the author of a new book. Got it right here. It's called Crisis Ready. We're going to be talking about how do we rebound from a crisis, or how do you rebound from a crisis if you own a business or if your career was just disrupted. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. But if you want to get updates and notices about this and other events that are going on, go to googlizationnation.com. Just as it's spelled out here, googlizationnation.com, and you can do that. Ed, you back? Yeah, Ed comes back and then he freezes up again. We'll give it
a moment.
There you are.
Huh? Huh? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you, and then you go away. So, and we were just getting to the meat of that. By the way, as I said, Ed's book, Future Jobs, is his most recent. The one that I was quoting, you can pick up online too, which was called Winning the Global Talent Showdown. It is a few years old, but there's some great statistics about what was coming forward. The other thing that I would suggest that you can do is we're going to continue this conversation. Hopefully we can get Ed back online. If not, but as I said, on Friday, we're going to be talking about that. I'm lining up a panel discussion for April 30th. You'll be the first to hear about this. April 30th at 1:30. You might want to mark that down in your calendar. We're going to continue this conversation. I'm going to be talking with Mike Clark from Gallup, Lance Hahn from ERE, which is electronic recruiting. Lee Andress, we're going to be talking about
hello,
future of work.
Hear me.
So we can hear you, and then you go away, Ed.
Hello.
Ed, can you hear? See if we remove him and add him back in. So, yep. Okay, we don't have a picture of him. So, okay, so anyway, that's his book. I also talked with Suzanne Lucas last week. I can put that up here for a second. That's actually up on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. But if you wanted to listen to this, we had a great conversation about some of the challenges that HR is going to face moving forward. The easiest way to get that is to go to my YouTube channel and check out the live stream. We have a number of these other interviews there. And you can also just type in, go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/IRA live stream. That's bit.ly /IRA live stream. There's about, there's more than a dozen live stream events up there. But I talked to Suzanne last Friday, I think it was, Thursday or Friday, and we had a great conversation about many of the challenges that were up and coming.
Hello.
So, Ed, are you back? Yep. Okay. Yep, you're back there, Ed. So hang on. Okay, there you are. So we left off talking about the education.
I can hear you. No, I can't. Hello.
Yep. I can hear you, Ed. We can hear you. Can you hear Ed?
Oh yes, and now we're fading out again.
Okay. I think Ed's bandwidth is fading a little bit.
Oh.
So.
All right. Now can you hear me?
Okay. You keep freezing up, Ed.
Oh.
Hey.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Can you hear me? We're just fading in and out.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just to avoid kind of going back and forth, because I know everybody's been patient trying to get on. We might need to reschedule this, or Ed and I can just record this offline, and I'll post this, and I can tag it on to the video later. But if you got any questions for me now, you can actually post them. I can't do it in LinkedIn, but I can if you're on Facebook or YouTube. I can certainly check that. But as I said, I've got a couple other events that are coming up here. Let me get these on. We've got Ed Segal coming on Friday. That's at 11:30 a.m. We'll be on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Hopefully that'll be good. We're going to talk about how to bounce back for a crisis, continuing on the theme of what does work look like when business reopens. There's a whole lot of considerations that you're going to have to take into account. Again, I talked before about Googleization Nation that you can get there. And the other thing is I also have a Slack channel. It's on the flip side, so you can go to bit.ly, see you on the flip side. You can, and we can have some conversations in there. That's a growing community. We're almost got about 1,000 people in Googleization Nation, so we're going to start doing some discussion groups as well. So you can stay tuned. And I keep seeing Ed go in and out of my screen here. Let me try one more time. Ed, are you? We're going to try one more time here.
I'm right here.
Just reschedule.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Ed?
I can hear you. I can't see you. I see Globalization Nation.
Take that down.
We're living in there we are.
Okay. All right. So we'll try this one more time and try to wrap up. We've had people that are pretty patient. But I want to do two things. We're talking about the education process
right.
and how that's being disrupted. Where do you think, we've talked about the value of credentials that a degree is no longer the credential that you need, especially for lifetime. So that movement toward badges and certifications. And then
right.
I know you've been very, very heavy in these collaborations with the community. So I want to take that as kind of the leaving point of right now, what can companies, government, parents, what can they do? So let's take the first one, where you think badges and certificates and degrees are going, and then we'll wrap it up with your train network.
Okay, all right. Well, I think the badges and certificates and degrees are going with more of local businesses in their communities partnering up with educational institutions and other nonprofit organizations to customize what those things mean and to keep the current workers who are already employed up to date in their skills. The difficulty is this means a long-term investment by businesses in their workforce, in training and development, or talent management, whatever term grabs you. Not just the concept that short-term they can use masses of technology and they don't have to worry about the skills and knowledge of their workforce. And I think many companies are already doing this, and most are not. They've resisted it. All right. But technology is a fast-moving target, and most companies are losing out in the battle against knowledge versus technology. Their workers simply do not have the knowledge to basically use the technology.
Right.
And when we think that technology by itself can provide the average employee with the knowledge they need to do their work without any form of social interaction with other people while they're learning the information and trying to apply it, they're dreaming. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. All right. And as a learning theorist, I can tell you that blended learning works best. Now, for highly intelligent, driven, highly motivated people, pure e-learning will work. I'm sure it will be great. But remember, when we're trying to train people in interpersonal skills, marketing, management, and other things of that nature, you need social interaction of classroom learning plus technology. All right.
Okay.
So where does all this lead us? Well, where it all leads us is there are three essential components here. Learning begins at home. The parent is the best teacher of a child in their young years and supporting education and not downplaying the importance of education in a child's life or consistently ridiculing teachers and school systems as useless. This puts up artificial barriers that a child will never break out of. And secondly, we need a better educated workforce in school systems. We need our best and brightest to be in schools. We don't have enough math and science majors teaching in elementary and secondary schools because we don't pay and we don't motivate them to stay. And thirdly, lifelong learning means everybody, not just accountants, attorneys, doctors, and nurses. It means us. I mean, where would you be, Ira, today if you had stopped learning 20 years ago? You wouldn't be anywhere. Neither would I. I have a degree in history and psychology. I spent most of my time in labor economics and learning theory.
Yeah, how can you do?
Yeah, well, how can you do that? Well, I've kept learning, and I have a network of people and mentors that help me, including you. Mm-hmm. All right. So learning is for life. You can't cut that off. So let's get away from this artificial thing that you get the educated people over here, and then you have the people who are uneducated over there. And it's a conspiracy by the educated to keep them down. That is crap. And people that fall for that kind of misleading propaganda, we have to understand now that learning and education is for everyone. And we need to make it more pervasive from the cradle to the grave. That's the future of the United States.
Well, and hopefully this crisis will help us get there now that everybody has had a taste of, again, not that it's the answer, e-learning or distance learning, but now it's available. It doesn't have to be done in a classroom between September and May. I want you to wrap this up a bit.
Okay.
And I want you to talk a little bit about what your initiative is. You've been trying to get these collaborations together.
Yes, we call them regional talent innovation networks. These are public-private partnerships that exist all over the United States. There are already at least 1,000 of them going. Some are big and some are small. And what they're trying to do is very simple. They're trying to upgrade the education to employment system, elementary, secondary, post-secondary, and lifelong learning. They're trying to upgrade it for the fourth industrial revolution. The real news, the real reason why this pandemic is going to helpfully motivate people to support what we're talking about is how many people are going to die because we don't have enough doctors, nurses, and technicians. We have huge shortages of medical personnel before we went into this. Mm-hmm. It's costing the lives of Americans. Why? Because we have an undereducated workforce. That is a message now that people should say when they lose someone who's their family or friend, and they say, why is this happening in America? We're number one. We aren't. We do not have enough educated workers. And this is true in many other industries. Talk to HR people across the country, and they're tired of not finding qualified candidates. They have skin in the game. We just lost. Oh, that's the end.
Yeah, no,
I just got cut off.
No, you're back, Ed. We can hear you, Ed.
I just got
we can hear you, Ed.
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. So
basically, what I'm saying is, 100 years ago, we set up public education for that level of technology that was just starting. Now we have a level of technology that requires more. This is not a conspiracy by anyone. This is global. It's international. And many other countries are also experiencing the same shortage of qualified people. The gap between the skills people need or should have and the jobs we're creating is getting wider and wider. So we hope that through these local public-private partnerships we call retains, that we can help local communities and regions to upgrade their education and their training systems to be more competitive, so children don't leave, property values and tax, small businesses don't close, and the tax base doesn't go away. Communities are fighting this battle right now. And that's one of the reasons why my work has been in demand for many years, and I expect it to grow now. So, and if you read Future Jobs, you had it up on the screen before. That is a reissue of a book that I did in 2013. Now it's updated in 2018. I'm about to issue a new white paper, which will come out later this year, about 2030 and the workforce and what parents can do to help their kids, what businesses can do, particularly smaller businesses in local communities, so that they don't close their doors because they can't find the workforce for their business.
Ed, I appreciate you working through some of these technological glitches. I appreciate everybody who stuck with us. I think we've had a lot of listeners and a lot of reaction to this. Hopefully there'll be some continued conversations later on. Let me just see. There was a comment that come in. I did have a question. What's the name of? Let me see if I can read the full thing here. What's the name of the regional talent? I guess the question would be if somebody was looking in their area to see if there was one of these, what you call retains, RETAN.
Right.
How could they find those? Where would they be?
I would say the local workforce board, the local chamber of commerce, they might be able to point toward these collaboratives between businesses and communities. All right. And if they don't have one set up, they need to help organize one, and I'll be very happy to talk to them about it.
Which leads me into the next question. If you want to get the book, you can go up to Amazon. Right there. Your company is Imperial Consulting. Am I correct?
Consulting Corporation.
Yeah,
and that's right. And our website is imperialcorp.com. Okay. Imperialcorp.com, or you can email me at imperialcorp@juno, that's JUNO.com. Or call me here in Chicago, 312-664-5196. I do talk to people on the phone live, believe it or not.
And just so everybody knows, it was the retain is regional employment
talent innovation networks. And that's the concept. The retains go under local brand names, the New North, High School Inc., the Vermilion Advantage. They have many local brand names to name these collaboratives between businesses and school systems, nonprofit organizations, government.
Okay. So for anybody that's interested, if you can't get that information and you want to have a collaboration locally, you basically can reach out to talk to Ed, or you can get to me and I'll get you in contact with Ed, because as far as the guy to help with these private public partnerships, he's the man. He's been doing this a long time. Each of his books lays it out, and I appreciate it. So thank you, Ed. Hey, it was great to see you. Most of the times we're just doing these by audio, so this was good, and thanks for fighting through the technological challenges.
You're welcome.
Yeah. For everybody else, again, just a reminder, I'm going to be back on Friday. That's Ed Gordon. We're going to go back with Ed Segal. It's a week for Ed's crisis management expert. He's got his new book, Crisis Ready. how to bounce back after a crisis. We'll continue this conversation in a different vein. We're all going to be faced with a lot of challenges we never anticipated. On April 30th, as I was sharing before, at 1:30, there's going to be a live stream, and there'll be more details going out. If you want to keep up with those details, then go to googlizationnation.com and sign up. It's free, and I send out about an email about once a week, unless something else is going on, with updates about new things and also past archives or some events, some contests, some webinars that are coming up. So I encourage you to go to googlizationnation.com. And what else did I miss here? I think that's about it. So again, I appreciate everybody being part of today. We had a really active participation, a lot of people on and off, a couple likes. If you have any other questions, continue the conversation on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. These will all be posted there. You can post your questions there, and I do monitor those, so I'll be happy to get back with you. Until everybody, again, it's what day is it? I lost track. It's Tuesday. So it's Blur's Day, as my friend Jason Averbook calls it these days, or Groundhog's Day, Blur's Day. So we got a couple days, but everybody continue to be safe. Keep your social distancing so we can get past this. Continue to wash your hands. Stay healthy. Be cautious. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.